Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Big disclaimer here. If you've already know how to put on a tire or change a tire or change your tires before, this video may not be for you. So skip this one, come back to the next one. But for anyone that doesn't know how to change a tire or has been curious on how to change a tire on a Tesla Model 3, stay tuned. I might have some interesting tips for you guys. Come check it out. So when changing a tire, the first thing you're going to need if you want to do it in a timely fashion is one of these pump jacks. I mean, you could use a regular jack, use your hand, but this one makes it a little quicker. So you get a low profile because the Model 3 is so low. So I forgot to mention, these tires and wheels and everything, this whole package, is from a company called wheelwiz.ca. They're here in Canada. They ship all over the place, but they're a Canadian company. Awesome prices, awesome customer service. And they got great huge selection with all kinds of wheels for Tesla Model 3s and all kinds of Teslas in general. Check them out. This is not a sponsored video. I paid full price for these. Okay, so on top of the jack that you need, you're going to need one of these pucks. You can get them or you can make them. I made them. I have a video on how I made these suckers. You're going to need something because the Tesla Model 3 and all Teslas, they have to be very specific on how you jack up your car. Then, of course, you need a breaker bar. I'll show you what that's for later. And at the end, you're going to need a torque wrench, which I will show you what that's for later too. You need a 21 millimeter socket wrench. And of course, I want to make things easier, so I'm going to use a power drill. And I'll show you how to use that and when to use that because you can't always use it all the time. Another safety point is always make sure you use some kind of block or something to make sure your car doesn't roll away when you jack it up. So I've got a little rubber stopper there, and on the front I've got a giant cinder box. Always make sure you have something because even though you use the emergency brake on the car, always make sure you have it because safety is first, so you don't want the car rolling around. So before we start, we're going to use our breaker bar, and you know what, because school is out with the pandemic and everything going on, I'm going to use this opportunity to make this a life lesson. Like these aren't things they teach in school unless you get into high school, into mechanic shop and stuff like that. So I'm going to show Abby that when she starts driving, probably in another 4 or 5 years, she'll know exactly how to change a tire if needed. Motorcycles. So I'm going to use an extension on the 21 mil socket just because you need some kind of distance between here. If I just put this on the breaker bar, it would be too close and I'd be hitting the car and scratching it. So always try to get an extension if you have it. And then you put it on here. So you put this extension on. First thing you do before you jack the car up, you have to loosen the lug nuts. If you try to loosen the lug nuts after you jack the car up, the tire may just spin. It's not a good idea anyways. So with the Tesla caps on these, we'll take these lug nut caps off. These have seen better days. They're starting, I need to paint them or something. They're starting to turn light gray. So when these are all off, put them aside. I'm an old man, so I'm using, if you can tell, I'm using sponge or foam mat to put my knees on. Always highly recommended if you've got bad knees and stuff like that. I don't have bad knees, but I don't want to have bad knees. You start by just putting it in, and to loosen it, you want to go in a direction righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, that thing. So to loosen it, we want to go down in this case, okay? So the reason I use a long bar like this is to give me leverage. If I use just a regular hand one, I might not have enough strength or leverage to loosen it because it's on tight. So the longer the bar is, sometimes I have a bar this long, sometimes too. It gives me more leverage. You know what leverage is, right? So when I press down, see how easy it is to loosen it? And you don't have to take these fully off. You just need to have them loose. See how it's loose there now? You don't want to take them fully off because the car isn't off the ground yet. So, and you go in a pattern of one side to the other side, to the other side, to the other side, to the other side. If it's 5. If it's 4, you'll go like in an X. But if it's 5, you go this way. Almost like an X, but a star. Yeah, you go complete opposite. And when you're tightening it, that's the same thing too. I'll have you give it a try. So remember, you're pushing down. It bends and everything, but see how it's moving?
Yeah.
Okay, so
That was kind of hard, but I think I can do it.
you take it out. Well, see, sometimes you have to do this on the side of a road, which is not the best recommended thing to do on the side of a road.
Oh, that was easy.
That's where I recommend maybe getting a tow truck and stuff like that. But if you can do this on your own, in a controlled, safe environment.
In your driveway?
Yeah, in your driveway in this case. I always recommend. You want to try this one? Sometimes it's easier if you put it one notch higher and then you can pull down on it. You rock it back and forth. There you go. See, she's strong from cheerleading. And then you do this one.
It's fun when it gets like...
If you do it too high up, it's harder. So that's why I try to bring it to close to a 90-degree angle. Sorry, 0-degree angle as you can. And then this one, this last one. See, when it's this low, it's probably harder to do. So you want to get it to the next notch up. And then, yeah, you want to try it? You getting tired? Now that they're loose, now you can jack the car up. Right? Once again, the emergency brake is on, so the car is not going to roll away. Okay. And now it's time to jack it up, but you always have to find the jack point. And remember, like I said, it's very important you use the right jack points for a Tesla. So we'll move this out of the way, and I will show you. I'll get a camera in there. There's these little holes. That's why there's a piece of doweling in here, and this puck is glued in, because there needs something to be in there to center this. And there's always like a hole. There's 4 of them on each side of the car on the frame. The puck sits right up into there, and then you get the jack, and you slide the jack right in over, and try to have it centered as best as you can. Centered on that pad and centered on that puck, and then you can jack it up. Okay, and now it's time to jack it. Now you have it centered underneath. And now these pump jacks, they all have a type of thing on the handle where you can turn the handle to tighten it, and when you want to, and that's how you can raise it. When you pump it up, it'll raise. As you can see, I'm raising it now, and it does it effortlessly. Now if I want to put the car back down, if you turn the handle this way, I think it's to the left, you see the car go back down. You do slowly turn it, and then you want to raise it again, you got to turn it and lock it back to the right, and then you can pump it back up again. And there you go, you have it. It's up in the air already. So we leave it, it's locked into place, it's not going anywhere. Make sure there's nothing around here as an obstacle or that you can trip over, because A, safety, you don't want to trip over it, but also you don't want it, something hitting this and moving it, because right now, this one side of the car is basically being supported by this jack. Okay, so all the weight, most of the weight, portion of the weight of the car is being supported on this jack. Okay, now it's time we can use this hand drill or this power drill. Now there's a little bit that I include in it that I went out and purchased separately. It's got the drill end, chuck, whatever it's called. Don't ask me for technical names. But then it's got another end on here that when we take this off, it will fit into here like a socket perfectly fine. And then we can put it on here. You don't want to use this basically when the wheels are super tight, because as powerful as this is, it won't work. You'll need the breaker bar. And when you're putting them on, you want to put them on hand tight, and then use this to tighten the rest of the way. Just, once again, snug enough that you can put it back down. And then we use, I'll show you at the end, we use the torque wrench to torque it down to the right torque specification. So then we use this, and then we put it on here, and then we just, you see how fast it comes off? Yeah. This is for like lazy people, basically.
You're lazy.
And it speeds things up. You want to try?
Yeah. So I just
put it in. Make sure it's in. 2 hands. Yeah. See? So now the wheel is sort of off. Here's the tricky part. Sometimes if you haven't taken this off for a while, the wheel on the hub will seize. It will seize, like when basically I use my hands to take it off. There's no lug nuts holding it on, but I can't get it off at all. So this is where you have to actually be careful, because you have to, some people use a mallet, a rubber mallet, which you can use. Some people use some other form of striking tool. To what you basically have to do is break. There's like a seal from it being on over the winter in this case, or a long period of time. It creates a seal from the hot and cold and stuff like that, or just the weather and debris and stuff like that. It seals the hub onto the rim, or the rib onto the hub. So what I do, and you got to be careful, because remember the car is up in the air. You don't want to hit it too hard. I just do a little tap with my foot, and that's what I do, and it should come off. Of course, in this case, it isn't.
Are you doing a YouTube channel?
Trying to do a little informative video, yes.
Oh,
the same time.
We want to set up a YouTube channel.
Somebody wants to start a YouTube channel. Anyways, I don't know if you saw me there.
Subscribe to them, everyone.
Yeah, you can subscribe to it once I find out what their channel is. So anyways, what you do is once you kick it, like you saw, I have to kick it a couple times, and it breaks free. And then once it's free, you can tell because
Can I take it off?
it's here. Now, be careful. If you have a bad back, you got to be very, very careful. If you got a strong back like somebody here,
I'm scared it's gonna fall.
yeah, it's heavy, right? So always be prepared when it comes down. It's gonna have a little bit of weight. Yeah, there's rocks in the thread. These are the winter tires, so we're gonna move these.
I can roll them out.
And you also, if you want to use gloves so your hands don't get dirty, if you care about that, you can use gloves. Also, it's a good idea to get some kind of a chalk or marker or something to label where you've taken them off. Like this will be, you label this as like FL, like front left. So you know that this came off the front left. So next year, if you into rotating your tires from the front to the back, because new tires these days, you can't go left and right anymore. They're directional. But if you want to go front to the back, you'll know that these ones came off the front. And you can put them on the back for next year. So it's not a bad idea to label the tires too. So these are the spacers that came with it, and they go just at the back of the hub on the rim. Okay, like I said, with this spacer here, it's supposed to go into the rim here, right in the center part here. It fits there because this rim center hub is wider than the hub here. It's not a hub centric, I think it's called. But the problem is this doesn't fit on tight here because of all this corrosion and stuff like that. It's typical in a Tesla, so we have to clean up all around the edges here so that this fits on a little smoother. Okay, so now it's time for the new tire, new wheel. Now, like I said, if you got a bad back, got to be careful because these tires weigh anywhere from a high performance one could be somewhere to 30 pounds, go all the way up to 60 or 50 pounds. So you got to be careful because when you're lifting it, but you're putting it forward. You don't want to put stress on your lower back. So be careful is all I'm saying. I'm not a doctor, but I'm just saying, be careful. Because these are new tires, I'm not too worried about putting them on my jeans. So I'm going to use my legs as leverage so I don't lean forward. And I've got an assistant here too. If you have an assistant, it's always good. Little pro tip here: when you're lining it up, try to line up. I mean, sometimes this locks, but try to line up the bow patterns to line them up this way on the rim, so you have basically the right angle of all the bolts. Last thing you want to do is when you lift it up in the air, you have to be twisting the rim with all that weight. You want to have it ready so you can just put it straight on. So lift it up like this. Make sure the bolts are all lined up, and then it just slides on. And it's that easy. Okay, like I said, Fastco or wheelwiz sent me this little, I guess, tool or adapter because these lug nuts are a different shape, a special shape. This lug nut compared to this lug nut, you can see it's a big difference in size. If I had to guess, it's probably like an 18 or a 19. So that's what this adapter's for. They go right in here. Then you can use the socket that fits right on here on a 21. When putting these on, always put them on hand tight first because you don't want to cross thread the threads on these. So because these are elongated, I probably don't even need this. So you can just put them on and hand tight them first. Yeah, and I will let you do these. And I will help out. Doesn't matter. This time it doesn't need to go in a pattern. Clockwise always tightens. Anti-clockwise always loosens. Now, you just want to put a couple turns or to make sure the threads get in, like maybe 3 or 4 turns to make sure they're threaded in the right direction. Then you can use the bad boy drill. All you do is you make sure it's in forward, which it is. You put them on. And like I said, you don't need to go super tight on this because you're going to use the torque wrench afterwards. You want to try? When it stops, just stop. Go, baby. Yeah. Oh, go. Hold it until it stops. Oh, okay. You'll hear when it stops. So, once it's done, now that it's on good, we can lower the car. Let me move this over here. Now you can see. So you got the handle here. Remember, like I said, if you turn it to the left, very slowly, it'll start to go down. If you do it fast, the car will drop. You don't want it to drop that fast. So it'll go down. It'll go down. It'll go down. And You look down to see if the pump truck has cleared or the pad has cleared. Yeah, it has in this case, so now you can pull the whole assembly out. Okay, the last step after you've done all 4, you can go around and do the other 3. I'm just going to concentrate on 1 for now, is you use your torque wrench. And you have to set the torque wrench, and each torque wrench is different, so I'm not going to go into, yeah, it's called a torque wrench. Torque, not twerk, torque. So you set it to the right amount, and to get the right amount, because every car is different, you look in the owner's manual. For the Tesla Model 3, it's 129 pounds. So I set this to 129 pounds, and then I tighten the lug nuts to 129. Now, if you're on the side of the road and you're doing this, and you don't have the torque wrench available, what I suggest you do is tighten it as tight as you can without like wrenching on it. If you can tighten it as tight as you can to get off the highway safe or the roadway safely, and then when you get the torque wrench, or you can take it to a mechanic and stuff like that, and they can tighten it down to the correct specifications. But if you doing it here like we are here in the driveway in the garage, always torque it to the right torque, not torque. Torque it to the right specifications. So, and the way these torque wrenches work, you're basically just like a wrench. You're pushing it down and tightening it, and you will hear a little clicking. When you hear the click, that means it's at that right specification and that right amount of torque. Hear that click? That's what you do. So then you stop, move on to the next lug nut. And like I said, remember, do these crossways, one way, this way, this way, this way, this way. You want to come and give this a try, Abby? Okay. I just did this one, so probably do this one, right? You hold it up here, you stand up, probably it's probably easier. And you're pushing forward. Push forward. You might need 2 hands. You don't need to hold on to that. Push until you hear it click. Keep pushing. So I'm saying stand up, maybe give yourself more leverage. Stand up. There you go. So you can use your body weight now. Push.
Wait, okay, so I have to push. I'm scared I'm going to break it.
Okay, no, you won't break it. Okay. See?
I got it.
There you go. There you go. You hear that click? That's the click you're looking for. And last but not least, what you got to do is you got to come into the car, go to the software, go to the settings, go to service, pick wheel configuration, and if you had 18s, that's fine. If you haven't changed the size, you don't have to do this. You just have to make sure your tire pressure monitoring sensors, the TPMS, they kick in eventually. It takes a while sometimes as you start driving. It'll take a while for them to get the signal and set up with the car. Make sure you have them because you need them. Moving back to there, if you have changed the wheel size like I did, you got to click down the drop down menu, click 19-inch, and click confirm, and then this will calibrate the car to now 19s. And that's the message you're gonna get when the TPMS is reset successfully. So that's basically in a nutshell, folks. Like I said, please don't take this as professional mechanic help, but this is just one person knowing how to do it and giving you the correct way of doing it. Don't know all the terminologies and specifications. This is how you do it. If you like what you saw and you have any comments maybe that I could do better in a politeful, constructive criticism way, leave a comment below. If you think I'm completely off and I did this completely wrong, let me know too. Just be respectful and polite. And maybe I'll learn a few things because, you know what, we're always learning. That's all I got for you today, folks. Thanks for watching. Abby, did you learn anything?
Yes.
See,
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, like I said, this is a good thing, not just for everyone, but, you know, while we're in this pandemic and everything and school's out, we can teach our kids. That's all I got for you, folks. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.